Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're taking a highly structured, focused, and honestly incredibly practical look at something that affects millions of people, but is just so often misunderstood. We're talking about pervasive, nonstop worry. Our guide today is all about understanding and, most importantly, managing generalized anxiety disorder. Let me ask you a question. Do you worry about everything? And I don't just mean the big things, like a major career change or a sudden illness. I mean the small things, the things other people seem to just brush off without a second thought. If your mind feels like it's constantly running worst-case scenarios over the tiniest details and you honestly cannot remember the last time you felt truly, deeply relaxed, well, you might be dealing with exactly what we're unpacking today. You are not alone, and your experience is entirely valid. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with 1, beyond normal worry, 2, mapping the symptoms, 3, tracking the warning signs, 4, impact on daily life, 5, evidence-based management tools, and finally, 6, seeking professional help. Section 1, beyond normal worry, decoding GAD. Everyone worries sometimes, right? Normal worry is temporary, it's proportionate, and it's focused on a specific real-world problem. But generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, is fundamentally different. We're talking about worry that is persistent, usually lasting for more than 6 months. It's disproportionate to the actual threat, completely uncontrollable, and it shifts wildly from topic to topic. One day it's money, the next it's your health, then it's something you said to a friend 3 weeks ago. The absolutely crucial point here is that GAD is not just a personality trait. It is a clinically recognized neurobiological condition involving heightened reactivity in your brain's threat detection center. There is a hard line between everyday stress and clinical anxiety. Now, you might be wondering when this typically starts. While GAD can develop at literally any age, epidemiological research shows that the median age of onset is right around 30 years old. And this brilliantly illustrates the demographic breakdown. Globally, women are twice as likely as men to be diagnosed with GAD. It's a highly prevalent condition worldwide affecting millions. So again, if you're feeling this way, the data shows you are absolutely part of a much, much larger community. Section 2, mapping the symptoms, mind and body. One of the biggest misconceptions we need to break right now is that GAD only happens in your head. It actually exacts a massive toll on your physical body. Your body literally carries the heavy weight of that constant background hum of anxiety. We're talking severe muscle tension, especially in the jaw, shoulders, and back, a constant feeling of restlessness, persistent fatigue, even when you haven't done anything physically demanding, real gastrointestinal problems, and crucially, sleep disturbance. In fact, a fascinating 2024 network analysis of daily diary data pinpointed sleep disturbance as the absolute most central symptom of GAD. Think about it. If you can't sleep, your body simply cannot recover, which just acts as a total accelerant for the mental worry. Section 3, tracking the warning signs, the escalation ladder. Symptoms of GAD don't usually just jump from 0 to 100 overnight. They compound and worsen gradually, particularly during periods of high stress. Learning to track this is a complete game changer. Let's walk through this escalation ladder. It starts in the yellow zone. Early signs like taking a bit longer to fall asleep or snapping at people over small things because your irritability is creeping up. If untreated, it escalates to the orange zone. Here, you start actively avoiding things, canceling plans, putting off simple emails. Your concentration might just completely collapse. And finally, you hit the red zone, the true crisis point. This is where functional impairment hits. You might find yourself completely unable to go to work or perform basic daily tasks, and full panic symptoms can set in. Recognizing where you are on this timeline helps you step in and intervene before you hit the red. Section 4, impact on daily life, relationships, work, study, and social. Let's shift our focus to see how these escalating symptoms create very real, tangible friction in our day-to-day routines. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can pair each area of friction with an immediate, practical micro-action tool. At work, GAD often causes perfectionism and presenteeism, being physically at your desk but mentally paralyzed by worry. The strategy? Time-boxing decisions and applying the 80% rule. If a task is 80% complete and it's good enough, just submit it. For study, test anxiety can be tackled by breaking massive assignments into tiny micro-tasks and using retrieval practice. In your social life, if you constantly cancel plans at the last minute, try the 3-3-3 grounding technique when anxiety spikes. And in relationships, GAD often drives an endless loop of reassurance seeking. Instead, practice self-soothing, or, even better, establish a simple nonverbal signal system with your partner when you're feeling overwhelmed so they know exactly what's going on without you having to explain it. Section 5. Evidence-based management tools. This is the empowerment phase of our explainer. We're focusing entirely on research-backed clinical tools to actually manage the disorder. The absolute gold standard here is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's a treatment that involves identifying those distorted, worst-case scenario thoughts, actively examining the hard evidence for and against them, and replacing them with balanced alternatives. It is the most extensively studied psychotherapy for GAD. In fact, research shows a refined CBT protocol achieved a massive 74% recovery rate for anxiety symptoms. That's huge. So, how do you actually put CBT into practice? You use a thought record. Here is a simple 4-step breakdown of cognitive restructuring you can literally use today. Step 1. When anxiety hits, write down the specific worry thought. Just get it out of your head and onto paper. Step 2. Ask yourself, what is the hard, factual evidence that this thought is true? Step 3. What is the evidence that it is not true? And step 4. Create a balanced thought based on reality, not the fear. Doing this consistently trains your brain to break its default worry cycle. Next up, you need structure. Here is how to implement a daily anxiety management plan using a clinical technique called stimulus control. Step 1 is a morning check-in, taking just a few minutes for pure body awareness. Step 2 is my absolute favorite, the afternoon worry window. This is brilliant. You designate a maximum of 10 minutes a day specifically just to worry. If an anxious thought intrudes outside that window, you write it down and tell yourself, nope, I'll deal with this at 2 p.m. It stops worry from bleeding into your entire day. Finally, step 3, an evening wind down using progressive muscle relaxation to release all that physical tension we talked about earlier. Wrapped around all of these tools is one absolute, non-negotiable rule. Prioritizing sleep is not optional. It is foundational. Because poor sleep both results from and actively fuels every single other GAD symptom. If you want the tools to work, you absolutely have to protect your sleep hygiene. Our final section, number 6, seeking professional help. Everything we've discussed is incredibly powerful for self-management, but GAD is a clinical condition, and sometimes you just need a professional team. It's vital that we clearly state the boundaries of self-management. You should seek professional help when your symptoms persist for more than 6 months without improvement, when you experience functional impairment at work or in your relationships, if panic attacks occur, if you begin relying on substances to cope, or if you hit those red zone signs we tracked earlier. Research consistently shows that the largest, most sustainable improvements often come from a combined treatment approach, using medication alongside psychotherapy. There is zero shame in utilizing every single tool available to you. I want to read you this powerful quote directly from the workbook we've been drawing from today. GAD is not a character flaw, it is not a sign of weakness, it is a condition with neurobiological underpinnings that responds to treatment. You did not choose this, but you can choose to get help. That choice is an act of courage, not failure. I want to validate your experience one last time. You are not broken, you have a highly treatable condition. So looking at everything we've covered in this explainer, from understanding the very real physical symptoms to implementing daily management tools like the 80% rule and that brilliant worry window, I want to leave you with this. What will your first step be? You have the tools now. Pick just one and start today. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.